next biggest mistake that most people make, other than negative gearing, is trading their properties. Now, when you sell a property, you pay transactional costs, you pay tax, unless it's your PPR, on that property, and typically you then waste the money. And it goes on cars, and had to update that car, and trip, and whatever else that reduces in value. To get into another property, if you do roll the money over and put it into a new property, you've got transactional costs again and whatever else. The trading of properties is actually expensive. Now, I'm not saying don't sell, because there's some things that are right to sell. But if a property is neutral or positively geared, why would you sell it? If it's negative, sometimes with a little bit of knowledge, you can actually turn it into positive. So I really want to hit this home by telling you a story about one of my students called Fred. Now, Fred's an older guy. He lives in Newcastle now, but he used to live in Sydney. And he came to me at one of the boot camps and he handed me a white envelope full of what felt like paper. And I'm going, what's this? I said, Fred, I don't take bribes. He goes, no, open it up. So I open it up and it's full of photographs. And, it's about, 3/4 of an inch thick. It's full of photographs. And they're all pictures of properties. And on the back of the photograph, it had the address of the property and when he bought it and how much he paid for it. And I said, wow, Fred, you bought all these properties? He says, yep, every one of them. I said, you must be doing really well. He said, well, I would have been if I'd met you 40 years ago. He traded every one of those properties. Now, I took the first 3 of those properties. They're all in Sydney. And these are the first 3 properties that he's bought. And I just want to show you what's happened with those properties. Okay? Do you know a suburb in Sydney called Glebe? Very nice suburb. Okay? Pretty sought after. So Fred's story, one of his first properties that he bought was this one. Nice little terrace. Back in 1970, he paid $11,000 for this property. Now, when he bought it, his mum said to him, Fred, what on earth do you think you're doing? How on ever are you going to be able to afford to pay off $11,000? You're going to be the death of me. Well, when he sold it a year later for $12,000 and made $1,000 profit, his mum said to him, oh, Fred, you're the smartest boy that I know. I'm so proud of you. So for 40 years, he went on making his mum proud and trading his properties. I tracked those first 3 photographs. And it was sold again in 2001 for $475,000. It was sold again in 2004 for $780,000. When I did this slide in 2010, it was about $900,000 in value. Today, it's worth well over $1 million. Now, people get so hung up on paying off their loans. And I've got a theory about that, and I'll show you in a minute. But had Fred been able to keep this property and keep it neutrally geared, just looking after its own expenses, so its own rates as insurance and the interest on an interest-only basis on the property and management fees, whatever the property actually cost him, okay? If he had enough money coming in from rent to do that, today, had he not sold it, he would have a $1 million property with an $11,000 mortgage on it.